Special December subscriber edition. I'm your host, community manager Jared Huckabee. With me this month for our special subscriber edition is our director of community engagement, online strategy, and spaceships, Mr. Ben Lesnick. Designer Randy Vasquez, who you may recognize from our recent Caterpillar and Crucible segments.
Don't forget the Starliner.
And the Starliner.
No one remembers the Starliner.
Hey, I love the Starliner. The Starliner's got a special place in my heart. And Matt Sherman. No, and designer Matt Sherman, who you may recognize from RSI Chat. If you spend 5 minutes in RSI Chat, you'll know who Matt Sherman is. So we normally do Reverse the Verse every Friday, but once a month we try to do a special subscriber-only edition. Everybody is free to watch, of course. You know, and we have many viewers. Hello, guys.
No, if you're not a subscriber, stop watching right now.
Turn off. But for this episode, we will be taking questions specifically from the subscriber chat only. So if you are a subscriber, you want to ask questions, you're going to want to log into our website, log into the subscriber chat itself, and post your questions there. And of course, we had a thread up this week, and we collected some questions ahead of time that we'll be answering.
Tell them how to access the subscriber chat if they haven't before.
Yes, if for any reason you don't auto-load into the subscriber chat, when you bring up RSI Chat, at the bottom right, there's going to be a little button that says More Channels. You can click More Channels, and you'll see a subscribers option there. Put the check mark in there, and you'll have subscriber chat. If you don't see a subscriber option, it's probably because you're not a subscriber. And I have to ask, why not? Look at all the benefits we have. Be a subscriber is great. You should subscribe. All right, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah. So I guess first and foremost, you may notice our presentation's a little different. Yeah. Yeah. This is our first subscriber-only RTV from the new studio, so we wanted to make it as special as possible. We may have gone overboard, but I think it looks pretty good.
It's gargantuan.
I'm sorry?
It's gargantuan.
It's gargantuan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is we're broadcasting from Stage 42 or Studio 42. We're still arguing about the naming of it. Everybody likes Stage 42 except Hennessy.
Who controls whether or not we're on the air.
I wanted to see if you were going to chime in from that. But yeah, so for anybody who's just joining us, who's never seen an RTV, Reverse the Verse is the Cloud Imperium Games community team's informal live stream with the fans. Basically, we're going to chat for a bit, we're going to take some questions, and do our best to answer them.
Let me ask you a question. Did you take the labels off the water?
Yeah. We were emulating that Comic-Con experience, and they always take the labels off the water. I mean, we're not monetizing this or anything, so we have no reason. But I just
don't encourage any one particular type of water here.
It's Crystal Geyser.
Are you sure?
Immediately diving into the brand promoting.
Question right off the bat is, will the backdrop be available for download? Yes, this backdrop is actually available for download. It was in a monthly report for August. If you look up the August monthly report, this was created for our Gamescom presentation by the lovely and wonderful Fiendish Feather. So thank you again, Fiendish Feather, for putting up with me for 2.5 weeks while we made it.
Make a note when this is over. Let's add it to the poster vault for subscribers.
Yeah.
They can get it there. Speaking of vaults, the Crucible vault has been updated today with about 100 new images of the progress of the Crucible. So if you're a subscriber, check that out.
Looks great.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Randy was kind enough to post some questions. He went through the thread and pulled some questions and had some pre-canned answers. So we're going to start with one of his questions first while the chat gets going. This is from Red Dot 24. Red Dot 24 asks, is the current SCU number, 288, for the Reclaimer remotely accurate because it is now less than the Caterpillar's currently stated SCU number of 512? The original concept design doc for the Reclaimer stated it was to have less standard cargo space than the Banu Merchantman, Hull C, and Starfarer, but more than the Caterpillar and Freelancer Max. This is a very in-depth question.
It really is.
Also, are there still modules planned that can go into the Reclaimer's huge salvage hold when it is not being used? Randy, you have an answer.
So, as of right now, all SCU that we're giving for ships that haven't been done yet are still in flux. And that's kind of like something that we've been working on, talking with, like, where every single ship has its uses, its purposes, but basically every ship will go through an interior design pass. Then we'll be working with the artists, we're working with the designers, and making sure that everything actually fits that we need to be inside the hull. And then we'll worry about making sure that the cargo and everything is kind of situated where it needs to be. other than that, like, it's kind of us just working together and kind of like trying to push what we want for the designs lately.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an ongoing thing with building out these ships. They're such huge and detailed things to even get off the ground that we can't really lock into a rigid number right now. We can give our best guess, our ideal scenario, but an exact hard metric really isn't something we can do until it's like, hey, now the ship's flying, now the ship's in game. We can really start exploring this stuff. Things like modules, other kit for the ships, that's something we also have to sort of wait until we have a baseline version of the ship flyable before we can really start evaluating, okay, what is going to be a good module choice for this ship? What is something cool that we can, swap out, make a meaningful give and take for?
Yeah.
So.
Kind of jump on that, like with modules, it's kind of different because in some ships, we knew exactly what module we wanted. In other ships, we were like, we have no clue what module we're going to go with this one. So then that's when we kind of pour over the forums and kind of look at you guys' ideas and be like, all right, what does the community want? What do they expect from this ship? And that's kind of where like we're kind of playing that balance game between, us having some crazy ideas and then the community having some like really great ideas that kind of like fuel our own creativity.
Yep.
Is there a crazy idea you haven't been able to convince anybody to implement yet?
Go ahead. The one you cut.
Okay, so it's not cut.
Grabby hands.
We had to evaluate how we're
Taylor's
going
gonna
to
be
approach
grabbing
it. Because with one of Randy's recent designs for the Caterpillar, a really cool thing that he had as a baseline idea is we'll need a way to move, salvagers at a good pace of speed from point A to point B. Now, Randy's initial idea was a human catapult.
Everybody loves human catapults.
Yeah. And so some of the issues with some of these really cool ideas is we also have to build these out. We have to visualize these. We have to make proper animations for you're getting in and out of these devices. So the actual raw notion of a physicalized human catapult probably won't be happening on the Caterpillar, but some form of high-speed pilot mobility where you can send people from point A to point B with some speed and some urgency to get the job done as a core gameplay aspect, that's definitely something that we're going to keep. Just how we'll present that to you is going to go through some iteration.
So yeah, there's an example of one module they were like, oh, we should do this, and they were like, everybody was kind of like, I don't know about that, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the gameplay purpose it can serve, totally awesome. Yep. How we get to that purpose is always the fun roundabout aspect.
All right, so going through a lot of these questions, we should reiterate that this month's subscriber edition is for our design team. Why don't you tell the folks what designers do so we can help cultivate questions that are actually in the field of what you guys do?
So I think almost every designer here does something a little bit different. I've been focusing lately on just gameplay systems, mechanics, and ship interiors, and then the mechanics that are going to be going with that, and then working with the artist. I think you've been working on like components and everything.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of focus on our component system, retrofitting that into our new 4-size class system I've talked about a few times, and then also similar to Randy, like core ship designs, ship systems. So the LA guys, we really handle a lot of ship-centric things. So if you guys have questions about, like, oh, how does this FPS gun measure up? We may not really be able to handle that as well, but if you're asking about, hey, what kind of mounts may be available in the future on a ship, what kind of functions could different ships have on a ship scale, that'd be the kind of stuff we can totally field.
And absolutely under no circumstance should they be asking when a ship will be coming out.
Yeah, we don't do release stuff. Sorry, guys.
All right. Vina has asked, will we be able to give specific roles to specific people on our ship that only they can access?
So this is kind of a two-part in that yes, people will have roles. It'll be more of a design, like a designated role, either by the crew itself and what the person's good at, what screens they're going to be using on the ship, and then also on the multi-crew side, what station they're going to be using and stuff. So some stations they're talking about where everything is set up to be specific roles, and then other ones are going to be more generic stations where they can actually pull in multiple screens. So it really depends on what the crew wants to do, and then where the multi-crew design kind of ends. So right now, that is the best answer we can give on that part, unless you have something to add.
Well, I mean, because something that we had also talked about when we were planning out some of these seat stations is overall, like for a ship owner, we do want you to have some level of control to say, okay, I'm hiring you on board as crew, have them be another player or an NPC, and I'm going to give you access to the engineering station. I'm going to give you access to shield management, and you'll flag your crew for the different permissions that you want. That way, it'll be a bit trickier for someone to just run up to the pilot seat of your own ship, try and get in and use it, and it'll be more, well, you didn't flag him for permissions, so he's going to just rip you out of the seat, get in his own pilot seat, and start flying.
This weird chirping sound.
Yeah, that's outside.
Yeah,
Guy dog.
outdoor alarms.
One thing with permissions actually we could probably mention is that because the permissions set by the owner of the ship, like looking at all the different functions, like I created a spreadsheet that we all worked on, and basically every single ship we wanted to have one person do all the entire functions. It was over like 60-something, 70-something tasks that need to be done. It is really ridiculous. And then with multi-crew ships, controlling the different aspects of the shields, controlling different aspects of radars, sensors, communications, everything, this can be a lot for like just one person to handle. And then we started actually narrowing down of what we want people to do per role, and then break it down per classified, everything else. So like, it was actually a really big task that took a bit, but it was just all exploring and just what people want to do within a ship, and then breaking it down from like movies like Star Trek, Star Wars, and just watching all the sci-fi movies, like what roles are these guys doing.
Yep.
Sinalaya asks, what's the deal with Slim Diesel's hair? Is it a seasonal or permanent addition?
Being lazy.
I actually didn't notice you had hair until...
It's really cold in
Gets
Los
painted
Angeles.
on.
Yeah.
It really
Time of year.
does.
Let's see. Let's go for another one off your list, Randy. We got you here. Let's see. I know she picked very long questions. All right. Fate, we'll just go right down the list. Fate's Demise asks, in watching one of the 2.0 videos, after a ship was destroyed on the landing pad, one of its wing guns was left behind. Will it be possible to place weaponry broken off a ship into your cargo hold by hand and possibly repair the item later by some means? Or does it just become scrap to be broken down?
Okay, so since it's such a salvage, I gotta be careful how I answer this so I don't give too much of salvage away before we release the post. But we're still working on the design, and ideally what we would want as the design team is that when debris like that break away, we should be able to get it, then break it down, as well as take the component off. So we're treating weapons, hardpoints, like all those things as components. So then like working with Sherman, we were looking at him like, all right, so if these components are not damaged or at least damaged a little bit, then we can still use them and we can work with them. And then a player would be able to grab them and then repair it and make it better later.
Yep.
So yes, that gameplay is definitely intended.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we want, because that's going to start to be the cool thing where instead of just getting a loot bag when you kill a target, it's more going to be how did you kill them? If are you really precise? Did you manage to shear the wings off this one ship that has some really mean guns on it? Well, if you do that cleanly, you'll have a better chance of trying to collect that gun, as opposed to just laying into them all across the whole ship and possibly blowing up every component.
Yeah. Now this does not mean, and I want to just put it out there, does not mean that you can just take that wing and like put that wing onto something else. Like no, it's basically you're basically be scrapping stuff, whether you're taking stuff from the hull or you're gonna be taking the component and scrapping the component entirely. It's gonna not gonna be in that like just pasting
not
and
Legos.
it's not scotch taping a wing onto wherever you want.
So I can put Gladius wings on my Hornet.
No.
Confirm.
Isn't that what you just said?
Nope.
That's what I got from it.
Don't do these things to us,
yes,
Jared.
don't do this.
One of the most common questions we get, and the fact that we still get it means that we're still not reaching everybody. In 2.0, we have a little bit of Grand Theft Crusader going on. Folks want to know what the plan is for being able to lock our ships.
Well, some of that actually plays into what we were talking about a few minutes ago with like some of the ship permissions. So it's definitely a long-term goal. Like we don't want people to just freely and without any restriction be able to just jack anything at any time. So once we do get some of those permission setups in place, hey, that guy's not on your approved crew. He just can't pilot your ship, so he's not going to steal it off the landing pad.
You've even gone so far where like locking the outside of your ship, just like how like, you do with a car, and be like, "Blip, blip, okay, it's locked," or "Blip, blip, it's open," so that way people can go in and out of it and stuff. So again, permissions and just that's all coming on board. Hopefully, sometime in the future.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff, it's a bit longer term. We have to get a few other systems in place. A lot of the really cool stuff for, especially into the PU, is going to be, layering systems on top of systems. So it's definitely something that we're hearing from you guys. We know it's not the most ideal situation right now, but...
Well, it's pretty fun. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
Enjoy it while you can. Out there.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy it while you can. And really more, just keep in mind, 2.0 is more... Holy crap, we've got multi-crew and large rolled in, and you're going around this massive system now. So, I mean, this is also really step one of that big picture. So now we're in that place where we can start layering all these other cool functionalities on some of the protections, the extra systems.
I do want to point out that it was really awesome. I saw on it was on a stream. I forgot what stream I was watching, but basically a guy was like hiding up top, and then as soon as the ship spawned, he just like boop, popped down, took the guy's ship, and then the guy came out and was like, "Where did my ship go?" And like someone just completely just took off, and I was like, "Oh."
What I've been doing is I've been waiting on the pad for like a constellation to spawn, and I jump in and I get in the bathroom. I just let them take off.
Nice.
And as they're flying, I just pop out and just kind of walk up to them. I'm like waving at them while they're flying.
If only you had a burger in here, you could be that Burger King.
I never realized it until just now. I'm the Burger King, aren't I?
Yeah,
You do
really
look a lot like the Burger King.
Just figured that
Yeah,
out.
guys. So we need people to make some photoshops of Jared's face on the Sneak King from the Burger King Sneak King game.
Go.
I perfectly.
I want to see this done by the end of the stream. I want us to
Oh,
go back to our
now
desk
then, see,
and
he's
see these
ratcheting up the
photoshops.
difficulty.
Don't let me down.
Sneak King Landos.
Self-destruction.
Yeah.
I know that's a topic close to Matt Sherman's heart.
Oh yeah.
How will self-destruction work in cruise ships? Will other stations other than pilot be able to initiate it? Will there be a countdown? I had a dream that never mind, we'll just stop there.
Wow, I'm scared about that dream. So in terms of a countdown, yeah, we definitely want it to be something that, unlike the current implementation where it's more just something for cycling and arena commander, where it would be you're doing a deliberate action, so you'll hear an audible countdown alarm, you'll have that 30 seconds till core goes exploding. And that's sort of a two-part thing of, one, make sure the guys on your ship have a fair chance to get off, but also to sort of that give and take where now the people who may be attacking you also should get a chance to possibly disable that self-destruct. And in terms of who can trigger it, it will most likely be restricted to either the owner of a ship, like the guy who, on the title, he's the one who owns it, or whoever they have designated as an approved captain of the ship. So it's going to be constricted in who can trigger it. It won't just be random crewman, red shirt guy hits the button and everyone dies. It will be, okay, the captain is called for a self-destruct. Get to the escape pod.
Well, this goes against the permissions and roles aboard the ship. I mean,
Exactly.
in setting that up, because we want the players to have the functionality inside the ship to say, hey, I mean, I know this is a bad analogy, but basically treating it like almost like a little guild. This ship is basically a little guild, and like setting those guild permissions and like just MMO speak, to kind of just talk about like, this is how it's set up. This is how people will get the permissions. That people will actually take control, because you're gonna have leaders and stuff within your corporation, your organization. So that way, all right, these guys will be able to set these things, but it would be per ship
Exactly.
based on the roles.
Exactly.
And are we going to have like a very simple password to blow up the ship? Like, self-destruct Alpha 1.
Yeah.
I kind of would love to go
Well, I mean,
more
1A,
space.
Yeah.
2B.
Yeah. I mean, those things are more just to to trigger that countdown. I know I've also mentioned on the forums and even in the chat before a rough concept of basically a snap destruct. And some people, I think, took that a bit too aggressively initially. And one
Someone
thing,
on the forums took something aggressive?
Well,
What's
also-
going on?
Yeah, I mean, I know, we've got the most stable community ever. But one thing I do want to also mention for that notion of a snap destruct is that's something where every time I've talked about that, if that goes in, it would have two very distinct limitations of, one, only the owner of a ship could ever trigger it, in that you can't make someone a captain and then they get to snap destruct. You have to be the one who owns the ship and pushes the big red button. And then 2, when you push the big red button, you will die. Baseline. You die with the ship if you want to immediately blow it up. So that will be one of the counterbalances in that give and take, because you don't want to die in the PU. It's not going to be the most.
Couldn't we
fun
do
thing.
something even like a handshake of like you have 2 designated people and be like, hey, we're doing a snap to strike. Put your key in. 2 locks.
We could, in theory, we could do that, but the owner of the ship would have to be one of
To
those
initiate it.
people.
Yeah, definitely.
Either way, it's in development.
Yeah, I mean, it's in development. It'll get iterated. We're not going to make something that's going to just infuriate more people than it'll entertain. So,
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
well,
Going back to Randy's predetermined list of questions, the Crucible can repair larger ships like the Idris. I totally get it for the patch-up work for the ship's hull, but how would it work for heavy internal structural damage? Can the repair arms wriggle their way in through holes in the hull and work their way out? Is it a repair, or is a repair team needed, or bots on the job?
You have a repair team, but a larger ship, once you've sealed that breach, then people inside the ship can repair it.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of assuming as well. So can't get too much more into details on repair, but as of right now, the arms are going to be mostly handling for just external, like hull and everything like that, even external components. So if the components are actually facing towards the hull, then you'd be able to use the arms, kind of lift the pack, and then take the component out, replace it, or repair it, do everything there. But it could also be done through EVA, drones, and all that. So then the interior stuff, because of tight spaces and everything, the arms are actually way larger than what is kind of been shown so far. Like these things
Yeah.
are massive.
yeah, like they'll safely be able to move and manipulate, large and capital class components, which are room sized. I mean, we haven't really shown the full scale on those. So it's going to be something where, so for like an Idris, you may need a couple of crucibles to really get the job done, but they'll definitely have that functionality to make sure that you can bring a ship back
We had
up
talked
to
about with the
working order.
Idris and the components and the size of components like last month, I think, sometime.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're talking about like how the crucible would be used for that, and then having the multiple crucibles kind of work together. And like these guys are taking this part of the hull, these guys are taking this part of the hull and stuff. But I'd imagine that's going to be after like a huge battle.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
It just
like
has
if you see something getting refitted with capital grade components, that thing has gone through some punishment, and that it's still functioning should really be a test to how well that crew handled their fight.
Will we be able to turn off the gravity in a larger multi-crew ship like an Idris?
That I want to say is still being determined, because I mean, like we even showed, I want to say, was it for the one space station? I keep forgetting. Gold Horizon, where there was a gravity generator in that demo that could be disabled. So that's definitely something that we want to explore. How we can make that play nice with our local physics grid, which is really driving what's happening inside of a ship. That's going to be one of those questions that we just need a few more of these multi-crew ships up online and more of the core simulation built out to really answer.
So we had some gravity problems last night.
Yeah.
Yes. Spun a ship and gravity just turned on for the entire universe?
It was this is a bug in one of the PTU, or the potential PTU builds yesterday. We would spawn a ship and then gravity would go on in space.
Yeah. Under space water.
I saw that in the current stage, multi-crew alpha ships are pretty weak, and you can take them out with a Hornet. Do you have any plans for balancing?
So, yes.
Ongoing.
I want to touch that one then. So this one, that was kind of a bug that we saw. We saw on a stream where the Hornet's shields were actually the same exact shields that were
As
used
the
in
Constellation?
And
Yeah.
those, so it's kind of funny that like this one Hornet was just like going to town, just destroying this one dude, but he just wasn't dying. And then we looked at those like, was it 15,000, 1,500?
Yeah, it was like
Something like that. It was a-
15,000 health when it should have only been about 5. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, keep in mind the Constellation, the Retaliator. It's our first time putting them in your guys' hands and flyable. So there's absolutely going to be some wild tuning spikes with both those ships over the next few patches as we get them sort of settled in and we get more of the multi-crew stuff online. But it's absolutely something we will be keeping an eye on and addressing patching.
Yes.
Back.
So make sure you guys stay vocal on the forums. Let us know
Yeah.
what's happening, so that way we can kind of keep a pulse on like, all right, what's going on with the different ships. Because otherwise, if I didn't see the stream today, we'd have been like, wait a minute, is this right? This does not seem right. So we do watch the streams, we do watch the forums, and we do watch everything to try to keep an eye on everything.
Yep.
Yeah, we joke about it, but we do want to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
Even stuff like the Cutlass thread is a benefit. It's true. It is. Parts of it.
There we go. Hit the truth.
Worked my butt off on the shipyard post. I love the Cutlass people.
No, you don't. No one does.
No, I do.
See,
love
and
my
that's
Cutlass.
the part they're going to quote in the thread, not
We
where I
love the
tell them how
Cutlass.
you say how useful it is.
We love the Cutlass people. We just love making fun of you. A little bit more, that's all. That's to everybody, not just the Cutlass people. We're terrible people. That's basically what it comes down to.
Dig that, dude.
Ship intakes are part of the component system. How do the mechanics work? Will ships regenerate fuel at the same rate at all times, or will it vary depending on location and speed?
So the core intakes on ships, I want to say are still going to be sort of a tunable aspect that you can, you'll have some adjustment on how fast they'll refill your boost fuel onto your ship. And that's the main intakes you're going to see on every ship. I know, was it the Starfarer was mentioned, like the base model, its intakes did the fuel refinement, and that's more of a special case thing for the Starfarer. So part of how it's harvesting and processing the gas into like quantum and jump fuel. But for most other ships, yeah, your intake is going to be recharging your boost fuel. The kind of intake and how good of one you've installed is going to really depend or gauge how quick that's going to replenish, and also how fast it can be burned up at times. So.
Now, from a design standpoint, would you say that Star Citizen ships have enough giant fans all over them, or not enough?
Not enough. Never enough.
I don't know. I mean, we've got a pretty good selection of different states of turbofans on our ships. I mean,
Not enough is the answer.
All right, back from Randy's prearranged list. Nobody's ever come with a prearranged list of questions. I'm just gonna. I love it. How long does it typically take to design out something like the Crucible or the Caterpillar? And how has this process changed during your time at CG or CIG?
So
I need to answer.
every ship's kind of like a unique little snowflake in that it takes a different amount of time. And I mean, like we talked about variants before, we talked about the different things going on with each individual ship. So on average, it's taken me anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks to get the interior done, the Confluence page done, working with the artists, working with the leads, the directors, the engineers, talking about what the mechanics need to go with each ship, talking with Sherman, because I always do a pass once I get the interior kind of solid, then I go through a couple of days just working with Sherman, looking at the components, the sizes of the components. Once we know all the components kind of fit in the little nooks and crannies where they're going, make sure they're facing the right way so that way they can have an access panel to open up, get the component out, put it back in, make sure they fit through the hallways, everything like that. Like, we actually do put a lot of thought into the interiors.
And this is just the white boxing. This isn't
Yeah.
building out the interior of the ship. This is if you've seen the Crucible video or the Caterpillar video or the Starfarer video. This is just laying out the interior, not building an engine.
So yeah, I mean, we actually do build an engine, but it is all just basic blocks of geometry and stuff, as people have seen like the videos and everything. So it takes a while to get through, but it's multiple iterations, multiple people are looking at it. There's multiple checks. I mean, like at least 2 or 3 times I'm talking to you, talking to Calix, I'm talking to Kirk, I'm talking to everyone else. So basically, I'm like, hey, I need feedback on this, and then moving stuff around, adding things a little here and there. Like what was it on the Crucible? I was working on it, and then like towards the end, like Calix asked a simple question of just like, so where are the spotlights? And it's supposed to be like, oh my god, I forgot spotlights. So like little things like that always get added in the here and there. So it's always a constant iteration.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something also where it's never just us as designers doing this treatment on a ship. Like Randy even mentioned, we have to work in tandem with the artists on this, because we each have to, like all of our departments, we have to play to our own strengths, where we can handle the design, we can handle the spec work, we can handle all that, but we also have to know and trust our artists, like Owen, Gurmuk, those guys, to just be able to jive with that and then knock the ship out of the park and make something really incredible. And Let's see.
Do we have
Hi.
Yeah, we have a magical calyx appearing.
That is not Calyx. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm here. I exist. The card proves it.
Just squeeze you in there.
Get all
All
friendly.
right.
Hello.
So, do we have people asking about mining drones? Do we have anything we're prepared to say about mining
We are
drones?
not
yet?
ready to talk about mining.
I didn't think so. Let's go to the
We'll let you
prearranged
know.
list of questions again. Hey,
Running out.
hey, Randy. I love the side opening part of the caterpillar. It's still my Thunderbird 2. It will be green. I don't know what that
Thunderbird
means.
4 was green, just saying.
Yeah, yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
burps.
Okay.
Come on, burps.
Yeah. They had the new one on in the UK when I was there the other week, so I had to watch a couple episodes. So
Okay.
that's why.
Will both sides open? And what happens if both sides are open in flight, as the ship is no longer a contained mini instance? Basically, will ammo go clean through without hitting anything?
If there's something to hit.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Like that's so. Ideally, that's what we're like. So thank you first of all. Yes, both sides will kind of open up. Will like be the clamshell opening on both sides, and then if it's not hitting anything, then the bullet should go straight through.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're going to be also maybe possibly like if people are set up, and you pull up next to a thing, like I can see people shooting a gun outside this thing as well as so bullets should be able to shot right back in.
Getting that broadside going on.
Yeah.
Why
Although-
Just like in the Wing Commander movie.
Although I'm still wondering, it's like there's almost always going to be something to hit inside the caterpillar. Like
True.
getting that kind of through and through probably won't be that common.
I don't know. I'd love to see like I forgot. Oh man.
There'll
The
just be a
old-
red shirt on the scaffolding who gets clipped by
Nice,
a
of
30
course.
millimeter round.
I was thinking Nazca Valley, the one where they would like open the side of the plane and like all the dudes were sitting there ready to like just jump off, but they all had weapons and just like.
What if you fly through it?
What do you mean?
That could be interesting.
M50 straight through the, or
Yeah.
Merlin even.
Merlin
through
would
the,
definitely do that.
M50 could probably fit
Will
as well.
M50 fit?
Are you going to
yeah.
be impacted by gravity though once you enter the?
Yeah, but you have the thrusters are strong enough to
Yeah.
deal with it. You'll see them actually they'll have to rotate to
I can just see that.
adjust to that.
Yeah.
You have the same issue when you fly directly over a landing pad because there's gravity there too.
Yeah.
Although it's not a separate physics grid, so it's more complicated on the back end, but what actually happens will be the same. Like keep forgetting there are cameras to look at. So I'm like, hi guys.
All right, so let's talk about doing damage inside a ship. Will people be able to attack and damage the actual hull of the ship, the munitions of the ship? Can you blow up the torpedoes inside a retaliator from the inside?
Definitely
So-
still in progress.
Yes. We have talked about this because like I mean, components will cook off, right?
Yeah.
And if components start exploding, then they'll destroy components around them, and then those could also explode outwards, and then basically hull and stuff like that. So there's so much stuff that could be damaged.
That it is tied into the component system, so components will have cascading damage. So that if the power plant blows up, that will or overheats, that'll start affecting the rest of the pipe system. We've seen the previews of that with the Constellation, seeing this thing blow up, then this thing starts sparking, and until eventually the whole thing just goes and it's gone.
So maybe this whole self-destruct thing doesn't matter because they can just board the ship and put a charge on the power plant or something.
I mean,
Wait,
it
if you're
takes-
attacking, you're not self-destructing someone's ship.
that sort of catastrophic failure generally requires more than one component to fail at the same time.
Yeah.
Which ones in particular?
All the core ones, the power plants and shield generators and thrusters. Engines rather. So when those things all go off at the same time, you end up with
I kind of would love to
Crazy.
see
Also,
that
if
ammo
your
cook
coolers
off.
go down, because
Yeah,
then you can
your
just
coolers
start
go-
overheating dramatically, and your ship will just slowly erode on itself.
they're all interconnected. So if your coolers are down, like just shutting off the coolers and then overclocking your ship with all your other components can be enough to cause a sort of catastrophic failure. It's a personal goal of mine to make sure that you can just completely destroy your ship from the HUD.
He's good at that goal.
If you can't push buttons that destroy your ship, then do you really have control?
Never let Calyx in your car.
Yeah, do not.
What does this button do?
We've had to install extra buttons in my car that don't do anything just to be safe. But conceptually, like blowing up munitions or setting off mines and other explosive charges inside a ship should and could function the same way as doing this sort of component damage, where you take damage to the area and we propagate it out to whatever local components are. They do their normal damage behaviors, which could potentially be affecting the rest of the ship. And when you reach levels that are sufficiently catastrophic to destroy the ship, it happens naturally. That's the theory of it, none of which we've actually done in engine. So
Yet.
until that happens, you know, it's all design and ideas and things that we're still working through. But there will always be more consequences to these than there even appears to be.
Yeah.
And there does appear to be a lot.
Someone is asking if it's possible to steal components from a ship. Can you board, take out the hyperdrive with grabby hands?
Hyperdrive. What is this?
That's what it says. It says hyperdrive in the
Components are not really designed to be hand manipulable.
Yeah.
They're too large, they're too heavy.
Yeah.
You will be able to move these things as cargo items, but you'll need to do that as cargo items. So
Yeah.
like actually pulling it out before it becomes cargo, before you would use it in the same way with the gravity jack and all these systems that we have in place for cargo. You would be, I think that at this point it's kind of unlikely that we'll allow you to just go in and make that sort of on the fly hot swap, actually take out a component. That's probably going to be more the kind of thing that you'll see. You'll have to go to a vendor, go to some garage or repair shop to be like, all right, I want that thing taken out, and then they will do that for you because these things are too large for grabby hands. The subcomponents of components are what grabby hands is for. So you'll be able to open it up, and yeah, you'll be able to pull out the capacitor of a shield generator and then put it in your pocket. But that only reduces the capacity of these components. It doesn't negate it completely.
Something also, even touching on that a bit, is a lot of it will also depend on what kind of ship you're interacting with, because if it has the right size class components and the right interior access panels, it may be something that you could do a tool assisted removal of to get it into that cargo state. But if it's on some of the smaller single seat ships, not all of their core components will actually even be accessible from the inside. So it'll be something where to really get at those parts, you're going to be trashing that ship to get to those parts. So it won't be something where it's like you just board someone's ship, that ship's fully operational, and you just unplug their motherboard. It'll be a more deliberate and consequential action.
Sounds like this will allow for sabotage.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to support sabotage, but it also shouldn't be trivial. So.
Yeah. It won't be progress bar push button sabotage. It will be thought out process of sabotage.
For multi-crew ships, can we expect the time to kill for a multi-crew ship to increase, giving people on board time to run around and repair components and get into escape pods and stuff?
Relative to what was in previous patches, yes. I mean, time to kill is it basically just keeps growing as things get larger and as we playtest more.
And the first patch that has multi-crew ships isn't even online yet, so.
So the shields and the armor, those things are getting tweaked and retweaked, and are in fact up for a total revision as we're doing our component refactors and bringing those in line with some of the designs that we've released and have been building up the code side support for.
One thing we've mentioned is that like as we get more multi-crew ships on board and more design and stuff like that, then we'll be looking into kind of just doing another more and more battle paths because we're never gonna be done balancing.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, we're also just now introducing more of the medium-sized ships. We haven't really even gotten into the large and capital class stuff. So, what like Caleb said, the relative time to kill, that's gonna that'll probably increase for what you know. But then once we've also got something like the Idris M at play, well, an Idris's time to kill against a constellation could be a lot less if it lands a clean shot with that railgun. So. There's always going to be different levels of scale and balance, and it's ongoing, and it will never ever end.
I can't wait to see like the balance sheet on the fleet of ships is going to take an Idris down. I'm like,
oh yeah,
poor Calyx.
Yeah, the kind of work that
Looking forward to that.
bring one down.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
So much fun.
but we know what components are in the interest now, so
It does help.
yes.
Will we need quote-unquote space forklifts to transport cargo from an Orion to a Freelancer or any other ship? Will we be able to fly crates over manually, or do we need to land on a station or planet to move cargo from one ship to another?
So, we've talked about this when I was working on the Caterpillar, actually. So we have multiple variations where we want to do some stuff over EVA. So basically, a module would open up, and ideally what we would want to have is a person would be able to just put it like a little pallet jack, the cargo jack things you had talked about before. So you'd be able to grab that and then EVA over with that, and then put it into the hold, and then just EVA back to your ship. So basically, you can do it in gravity. You can do it in no gravity. So
Yeah, you don't need to land to do these things.
It can be
you
done.
also don't need to be EVA. You can be EVA. You can be using tools. We also have things that will allow you to sort of bundle objects together, like the cargo jack and other devices, which will allow you to move them all together at once, so that you don't have to make 30 trips for 30 separate boxes. You can just put them all on the same thing.
one
move them
trip,
together.
guys. It's like groceries.
Yeah.
You don't want to make more than one trip.
By the way, I'd like to thank Josh and Francois, who have already sent me Disco Lando as the Sneak King Photoshop. So nice job,
awesome.
people.
Yes.
There's one. I don't know if you guys can see this.
No, they can't
That's the one that's safe for work.
That's the one. Nice.
Good job, people. Good job. If you guys search for my Twitter mentions,
Compelling.
Bandit Loaf, you
Very
can.
compelling.
My
I know it's-
compelling.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? I'll just go ahead and retweet them. If you.
Yeah. I'm going to need a minute.
Twitter's forever.
Twitter is forever.
Except when it's
What else? Oh, yes, they're in chat now.
And now you know it's live.
Dead time. Because we've run out of Randy's questions.
Oh no, I have more questions.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, I have questions.
You have more questions? Oh, yeah, that weird one that had like 5 questions and 1
Yeah.
question. I skipped that one because it was 5 questions and 1 question.
It's not very sporting, is it?
All right.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Outside of the if it fits concept, what ships other than the Reclaimer will be able to actively break ships apart for salvage purposes?
Undetermined.
So yeah, we don't really have.
That's why I
as
skipped
of right
it.
now,
Yeah.
the Reclaimer is the only one. Now the Caterpillar and Crucible can do light salvage type stuff as well as some repair things. So those are only ships that we've released.
So far, the Caterpillar salvage stuff is all meant to use EVA tools, right?
Yeah.
None of that is on board the ship. So you'll be able to do this with conceivably any ship as long as you get out of it.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it with your face.
Very true.
But we don't. So far, the Reclaimer is the only one that's purpose built for this.
But I will say that we are right now looking at concepts for basically in the last year we've done, the biggest salvage ship we can think of, the biggest mining ship. So we get the systems worked out, and we are now looking at kind of early concepts for where we fill in the blanks. There'll be more on that in the future.
And guys, if you're wondering in chat why I'm not answering a specific question or whatnot, it's because these are the design team guys for the LA office. I know the things that they work on. I'm looking for questions that relate to the things that they can work on. There's no point in me asking a question. They can all go, I don't know.
No, let's do it. Ask one.
I don't know.
Are there any future design plans for additional content or functionality in the Million Mile High Club?
I don't know.
I don't know.
See?
There are, but not immediately.
I know what I'm doing.
Give us another.
We can answer these all
These are
day.
easier.
Here's one for everybody at the table.
What do we know?
Is there a specific design system what specific design system excites you the most for Star Citizen? And you can't say grabby hands.
What?
You can't say
I
grabby
can
hands
say
is
grabby
already.
hands. I didn't work on
Nope,
it.
grabby hands is disqualified across the table. You have to pick a system other than grabby
The
hands.
generic use system that I'm working on with Zane.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It sort of ties, like you've seen a little bit of it in the MFD focus screen focus mode, of like being able to really expand the way you can interface your interactions with the ship and like really get into the nitty gritty of all these little buttons on your ship and being able to access it and being able to have that as a global thing that you can access whether you're on foot, whether you're in the ship, whether you're on a station. That's really compelling to me because it unifies a lot of our actions into something that feels really consistent and intuitive.
So tag team on that, like I'm actually most interested in the multi-crew stuff. I want to be able to have my crew, have my buddies and stuff like that all on the same ship, and us doing different roles and stuff like that, yelling at each other to take out all these other people.
Yeah.
That's what I can't wait for. I really want multi-crew.
Take out all those other people.
Exactly. Kill everybody.
Yeah.
So that was just a sneak peek for you, so you could get that experience.
Yeah.
I'd actually agree with Randy, just because I remember when I was still just a backer, like the one thing that immediately drew me to the game was just the idea where it's like, wait, so I can actually do the whole Millennium Falcon setup where I've got, Han and Chewie at the helm and guys in the turrets, and it all means something, and it's not just AI or automation controlling that all. Like, just that high level dream is always the most compelling thing for this game.
What about you, Ben?
Are space whales a thing yet? No? No, I know what it is, but I can't say it. So tune in next week's Wednesday live stream to find out.
Yes, that's
Ben's favorite thing is to perpetually tease the community.
yes.
Yeah. I don't say that.
Next Wednesday is our holiday live stream, guys. 11 a.m. You'll want to tune in for that.
Same bad time, same bad channel, but 3 hours instead of 1.
Yep. There's a fantastic new game system coming online. Well, we're
Not online.
not online, but we're
We have all
getting
sorts
there.
of cool stuff.
We're getting
for
there.
sure.
We're getting there.
I only just figured out what we're talking about.
Okay.
I caught up. Yay.
You're so on this.
Tell them about their Christmas presents.
You're getting coal in game.
Right?
First
I think we may have done that for subscribers. Didn't we do the Puglisi rock collection or something?
Yeah.
They already have their coal.
We gave all subscribers a lump of coal.
Space coal. Space coal.
We should give subscribers a lump of coal. Why not?
We should also not tell
Space
them
coal.
where it is.
Yeah.
And then not tell them where it is.
There is a lump
it's
of coal.
hidden somewhere in
It is
your
your lump
hangar.
of coal. Find it.
Yeah. Here's a pile of
That'd
Put
be
it
good.
somewhere in Crusader even.
This is my lump of coal.
Just somewhere floating in Crusader is a lump of coal.
It's yours.
Go find it.
Of course, you're going to need to collect space coal in order to power your ships in Star Citizen. We haven't talked much about that yet, but
Time is a loop. Alright. If I kill a pilot of a ship like the Constellation, will the ship continue the last action of the pilot? So if the pilot was going forward, the ship won't stop by itself just because the pilot's dead, the ship will continue to go forward?
It depends on the state of the ship when you kill him. If it was in decoupled, it will basically it stopped receiving additional inputs, but because of the way coupled works, is it basically expects that you're giving continuous input. So if you stop giving continuous input, it will stop giving that. So throttle will stay the same because that's not a continuous input; it's a state. But if you were turning at the time, you'll stop turning.
Yeah.
Unless you're in decoupled, or in whatever like rotational thing we allow, it will stay in whatever state that was.
Will exterior hull damage persist in such a way that it will obstruct the mounting operation of internal components if you don't repair it?
No, it should not. As cool on a high level concept as that could be, it just would pose a number of other technical challenges to the point where the benefit or additional immersion in gameplay that could provide may not really be, it wouldn't really outweigh the cost. So we want you to be able to be changing out your components, to be fixing them, to be replacing them when needed, and not having a bunch of extra sort of stopgaps on it. But in the same regard, you're not going to want to keep your ship flying around with a bunch of holes on it, because that means you are a weaker ship for it, where less damage will be needed to kill you, and dying is not good.
We're making the assumption that
Breaking
most players will always want to, as soon as they take damage and they're like heading to a safe area, to like repair their ship, or to at least repair it to what they can afford if they don't have that much money.
thank you to Tiago for our third Sneak King. Sneak King, Jared. Keep him coming, folks.
I would never ride a scooter. I would never ride a scooter.
It's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah.
It really is.
Would an EMP disrupt a self-destruct sequence?
In theory, yes, it could. If it does enough global distortion to the ship, it absolutely could bring one down.
Avenger Warlock sales just.
And would those components, would internal components of a ship be susceptible to like EMP grenades?
Absolutely. Yeah.
As will be player suits.
Yeah.
So if you were on a ship that somebody had instigated the self-destruct, you could lob a couple EMP grenades if you could identify what the self-destruct.
If you can affect the components required for the self-destruct, then yes.
Interesting.
It's entirely driven by the distortion damage, which is given by the EMP grenade or EMP effect.
Yeah.
So just give it distortion damage and you get the behavior.
Right. Let's go back to Randy's pre-done list here. There's all those questions about salvaging. That's all you got left, dude.
Yeah.
It's like you chose them.
I know.
Yeah.
For a reason.
I thought you didn't want to answer salvage questions. All right. What is the 30-second version of how salvaging is going to work, and when might we see the in-depth write-up?
So no clue on when we're going to see the in-depth write-up. It's still being worked on. Salvage in 30 seconds is basically going to be where ship's damaged or debris, then you basically are able to scrap it or repair it. If it's scrapped, you basically take that scrap on as cargo, and then you kind of go on your merry way. Like, that is the most basic way I can say salvage.
Yeah, I
It's just
think
13
another
seconds.
Go from object to material
Yeah.
by process.
Yeah. I always keep thinking of if you watch the movie Titan AE, in like the first 5 minutes of that, the main character's he's just a scrapper in space cutting up junk off of a ship. So kind of stuff like that where it's like, yeah, we're not going to use this anymore. Let's repurpose these materials. So.
Will we be able to tow other ships even through jump points?
There's a can of worms.
Yeah.
Towing ships is kind of a active design discussion of like exactly to what extent do we allow it.
Yeah.
Active design discussion is developer speak for people who are arguing about it.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We are butting heads over what the right way to do this
we
is.
all definitely agree that towing should be in the game. And this discussion actually came up when we were working on the Crucible, and we were all sat around talking about just like the tug, the tug version of the Crucible, and we're like, how is it going to be done? We can't really do tow lines. We can't really do this. We can't really do this. The dreaded words of tractor beams and all that gameplay that goes and stuff. Whether we're going to have that, whether we're going to do with it, what's going to go on with it. So like, there's so many different can of worms like this, just towing in general, in just normal space and then like even trying to go through a jump point of like, oh well that's.
Yeah, like
that's going to be deadly.
The jump quantum aspect of towing, I think, would be the dicier part, but something where, at least sort of how I'd hope that we could get is, you could do that local space tow to something that could at least, for enough ships, enclose that ship completely. Yeah. Kind of like if you get a Hornet or something smaller into the scarab,
go right into the scarab part. So
yeah, because that can close off. So then, cool, this is closed off. Now that's safe enough to jump and travel. So even if you don't have the parts on board to fix up that ship, you can move it around.
But at that point, we're treating it like cargo.
Yeah.
So with it treating it like cargo, then it works perfectly fine. But then with like an actual thing outside it, it's like, I see the grin.
Yeah,
I know
we've got all these things that we're sort of trying to balance here, and. We definitely would like to support it. The exact constraints that we're going to be putting on it to support it are a point of contention still. So we're working through that and getting it to a point where we're all happy with it.
Is the pipe system 100% in 2.0?
No. Pipe system is still going to be ongoing. A lot of it will also need we'll need first the component refactor that's going to be coming in the next couple months. Eventually we'll also need the weapon refactor as well to go with that for physically based damage to make sure that the power and heat consumption and such on weapons is tuned into the right level with the components. We need to get our avionics system online so that data management inside of your ship and what kind of system-wide functions you're giving to your ship are also tuned. So like any other part of balance, it's going to definitely be an ongoing thing for us.
It's definitely at a point where it's serviceable in the short term, but it needs to get upgraded a bit for some of the longer term things we'll be doing with it.
Somebody was asking about the ship startup system. Is there going to be a more elaborate process to starting up your ship? And if so, will there be any kind of remote start options? He says he calls it a Bobby glass. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's a
So
remote start.
I've worked with Zane on this a bit, and it's all still in the earlier phases of it. But essentially, we want you to be able to manually start up, like not have the startup animation at all if you don't want it. Manually start up and do the exact order of inputs as you want. So like, if you're trying to do a super stealthy startup so that you can get away with it without showing up on anybody's radar, you'll have to do it differently than if you were just starting up regularly. Or if there's if you need shields on before anything else because you're taking immediate fire, you would want to do this manually. But we'll still have an automatic startup. That's sort of our baseline, and we're exploring ways to expand that. That's actually part of what goes into the sort of generic use thing I was talking about earlier, is when we make it so that you have full access to all the buttons on your cockpit and being able to do at any time really fine-tune manipulation of your ship using the auxiliary buttons and the screens and all those things. Once that's truly available across the board, then we can really explore implementation of manual startup and basically the spectrum in between manual and automatic startup.
Gotcha. What do you see as the role of non-fighter snub ships? Probably like the Carrack Scout or
Scouting.
Scouting.
I can't go into all the details for specifically on the Pisces, but I do actually want to just call out that even from sitting in the chat and reading on the forums, to everyone who is concerned that, hey, because snubs don't have quantum and jump, my Carrack Explorer snubcraft may not feel worth it. That will not be the case. Absolutely planning something really cool for the Pisces so that it's going to feel like the just badass explorer companion vessel that you're hoping would come with the Carrack. It still won't have quantum or jump, but it will have some really cool stuff to counterbalance that, and I'm hoping once we get that ship more into production and can talk about that, you guys will be happy with it.
I mean, it comes down to like, what's the point of a fighter to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not to do long distance travel. It's not to do long high endurance engagement. It's
short
it's
recon.
to do short recon and to do like scramble support.
Yeah.
So they will be useful for those things.
The larger ship scramble supports should be massive because like they're gonna have like larger weapons and stuff like that. They're not gonna have a lot of like small little weapons. So like you have a couple of small ships going against like a super large ship, they can just keep picking away at it and like kind of flit around where that's what the snubs
Death
are
by
made for.
1,000 cuts.
Yeah, we're already seeing the balance strength of being the smaller ship in some cases.
Yeah.
So being able to be both the bigger and the smaller ship has a tactical advantage.
Yeah. Also, with that, one last thing is not all snubs are implicitly fighters. So there's the Argo utility vehicle that comes with the Idris, and that doesn't have guns. That is very much a utility craft. It's got a pod on board that it can do some different multifunction things with, but that's also going to apply where we'll have snubs. So like the Merlin and the Archimedes are more higher speed, higher maneuverability snub fighters. The 85X is going to be this luxury two-seater snub for taking off and landing from planets that the 890 jump may not be able to land to. The Pisces will absolutely be an exploration themed snub with suitable capabilities for that. So it's just having the purpose to everything and making sure that it lives up to that purpose.
Cool. Well, that about wraps up our December special subscriber edition of Reverse the Verse. Thank you, Matt and Calix and Randy, for taking the time to chat with us. Thank you also to Matt Interieri, who came ready to go, but we didn't end up needing him, so thank you for that.
His cutlass explosion is amazing. So
All the explosions look awesome.
yeah,
Of course, we're
he
focusing
does
on
some
blowing up the
great tech
cutlass.
artwork.
Coming up next, we got Around the Verse coming out tomorrow with the second part of our Tony Z interview. You want to check that out. Friday, it's a traditional Reverse the Verse. Then next Wednesday is our holiday live stream starting at 11 o'clock. That'll be on the official Star Citizen Twitch account. You'll definitely want to check that out. I have a Santa suit.
Well, that was the surprise I was talking about earlier. So I don't know what game mechanic's important to me now.
Ben, anything else to throw in before we sign off?
No, check out the monthly report on Friday. But, we'll talk to you before then. Hope you enjoyed this new format. Let us know on the forums, subscriber forums. Let us know who you want to see at the January live stream.
All right, guys. Take care. We have no way of knowing if